Color of law. Colorable, color, means something that pretends to be something that it's not. Colorable court, colorable money, colorable law, colorable people. Any people who call themselves colored, Negro, African American, Indian, Puerto Rican, Chinese, Australian, all of these are colorable labels, but these people for the most part around the world don't even know this. But because they call themselves Chinese, as I was getting ready to say to you, they are part of a corporate nation state as well, because the country of China is Manchuria. The nation state, the corporate ward nation state is China. That is not the country or the sovereignty of the people. The people are Manchurian. All right? You understand? Say anybody who wants to call themselves Puerto Rican. Puerto Rico is a corporate nation state. It is a private, non-profit corporation that has a charter issued by the Moors, where they have the authority to conduct commerce and trade on the island of Borinquen. Borinquen. Right? Borinquen. That's the name of the people. Borinquen is the name of the island. Puerto Rico is the private non-profit corporation that has the charter to operate within the geographical boundaries of Borinquen. Most Puerto Ricans don't even know that. I go around telling people all the time, you're not this, you're not that. This is who you really are, because people have grown up into slavery for generation after generation in all these corporate nation states who belong to the United Nations, which is a private non-profit corporation trade association for nation state corporations. Got it? In order to belong to the United Nations, you have to be a corporate ward state, nation state. Otherwise, they don't want you. And they will go to war against a country and take the people out of their sovereign capacity and say they're setting up democracy all around the world so that they can take people out of their sovereign capacity and take them away from the law and impose corporate statute on them. And that's exactly what they do. All right? Now, color of law is in full swing all around the world. All around the world. And they have a clique where they're all intermingled and they all agree to participate together in this game. Right? Now, it doesn't matter where you go. Just like most people think you need a passport to travel from company to company to company that are called nation states. So you do need a passport if you call yourself black or African American or a U.S. citizen or any of those things. Yes, you need a passport to travel from one corporate nation state to another. But when you're traveling from one country to another, you do not need a passport. And those countries will tell you you don't. Depends on what you call yourself. You understand? Okay. Why do we have colorable law and colorable courts? During the Civil War, the Moors went to war against each other. Now, we destroyed ourselves in this. The Europeans did not come here and bring us down. We did that from inside, and they capitalized on the carnage. Do you understand? All of these buildings all around here, as I told in class last night, they're ours. They belong to us. They're ancient, these buildings. There's a whole city underneath this city. They went and burned all the major cities, the major energy centers on this globe we called an earth. Our ancestors set up these energy centers that we call Philadelphia, New York, Boston, Atlanta, Detroit, right? Chicago, Miami, Phoenix, Los Angeles. They are energy centers. They're not where they are in huge, large cities just because of some coincidence. There's energy and power in these places. London, Rio de Janeiro, all right? And by the way, we're going to spell it like this, Rio de, which is a normal title of the Moors, Rio de Janeiro. You understand? This thing is worldwide. This flag that we carry with the red flag, with the 5-pointed green star, with the pointing up, all right, is a worldwide flag. It's recognized all around the world, all right? So, the reason we have colorable courts and colorable law is because during the Civil War, when the Moors warred against each other, there were those who agreed to participate in the game called the corporate ward game. And there were many who made a lot of money. They got a commission on everybody they got to sign a birth certificate, because the birth certificate is a contract that puts you in slavery. And they got money. William Penn got very rich, all right? All the Quakers got very rich. All the abolitionists got very rich on this Civil War, ward state game. Robert Morris and a lot of these buildings that are named after these people in downtown Philadelphia became multimillionaires, and their ancestors are still wealthy today over the corporate ward game. All right? Now, the reason that we have to have colorable law and colorable courts is because so many of us agree to be slaves. We don't need colorable courts and colorable law otherwise. But the people who agree to be bound by the 14th Amendment, which covers civil rights, which covers Negroes and African Americans and Jews and Hispanics and Indians and all these people like that, if you agree to call yourself that, they have to create a statute that applies to you, because law doesn't apply to you. So it's not their fault. It's the fault of the people who agree to be outside of their sovereign capacity. Okay? And now, if you walk in and you want to reestablish it, they're at odds because they're not accustomed to people walking in who are conscious and sovereign. Hey, you can't separate the two when you walk into a courtroom. And when I say you walk in on your square, I don't mean standing with your feet at a right angle. All right? I mean not to be deterred when you know you're in the right and you have law on your side. Do not back down. But you do not have to be belligerent. Trust me, I've been there. Don't do that. Okay? Now, the law of the land. The law of the land as it applies to the United States of America and the United States is their Constitution. The law of the land, which supersedes that, which if you go and read the Supremacy Clause of the Constitution, you will see that the treaty, in particular the Treaty of 1787, which was last signed and ratified in 1986. All right, it's re-signed every 50 years. That it's the treaty that is the actual law of the land. Now, that being the case, how do we make that treaty work for us? We always say they're not honoring the treaty. This is the oldest treaty in the world. Did y'all know that? And it's the only unbroken and longest standing treaty in the world. Did y'all know that? Now, that treaty protects us. You need to go get a copy of it, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship of 1787, all right, signed by the Emperor of Morocco. Actually, he signed it in the month of Ramadan in the year 1201, all right, which translates into the Gregorian calendar year of 1787 because they added 586 years to our calendar, all right? So, in terms of using the law of the land, and when you express these things to them, you don't even have to go into a lot of detail about it, because those who rule and those in government and those who sit on those judicial benches know what this doctrine is. And they adhere to it, but the problem is there's not enough of us standing up defending it. Okay? How to correct the issue? The people must be in their proper person. The people must act in their sovereign capacity. As the brother said earlier, how do you behave as a sovereign? How do you behave as a sovereign? You behave as a sovereign by not getting so upset and ranting and raving and causing a scene. There's no need to do any of that. As I said in the courtroom, as in with law enforcement and any of that, there's a language of silence. Just like the mummers who march down Broad Street every New Year's and they're playing it up and playing it up. What does mummery mean? Silent mockery. Who are they mocking? Us. All right? But they understand the language of silence, and they deal in it all the time with their secret signs and symbols. But don't be angry with them for using these things. Why not? We taught it to them. Okay? Don't be angry with them because they have gotten out of control with the power that we gave them. We created these people. We can't now turn around and say, now we don't want you, now, you know, go off someplace else and this and that. And if you know the history, you know that what the Moors did to these people when they were first created. The Moors considered them subhuman. They couldn't speak Latin, which is our original language. They couldn't go to school. They couldn't own land. They couldn't vote. They were totally disenfranchised. And this is why the Moors commissioned Benjamin Bey, who you know as Benjamin Banneker, who is also Benjamin Franklin, by the way, okay, to teach these people the science of government. He did that for a select few. Unfortunately, it couldn't go and spread as widely as it should have been. Now we have a situation on our hands where we as Moors refuse to be who we are. In the civil rights movement, there were those who led it who were paid to get us off our square, and we agreed to be there. We agreed to be called black, and we're proud of it, remember? Now, who could tell us any different? Now, the Europeans have a dilemma because they've lied to us so much and we have forgotten so much that if they stand up to tell us the truth, would we believe them? The majority of the people who call themselves African American, right now, if you tell them they're not from Africa, they'll give you hell. Am I right? Yes, we are. Now, can you imagine you're getting that feedback from them. Can you imagine what they would say to a European who now try to tell them they're not from Africa? You understand? Now you've got Bill Gates who's given $1 billion to the United Negro College Fund, you know, to keep more Negroes out of their sovereign capacity, and they jump right into the boat, right? Play it up to the hilt. Oh, what a great thing he's done. You know, they love him to death. Now, if the Moors try to stand up and say who the man really is, you got all these black people who are going to criticize you. Leave the man alone, they'll say. All right? But we know the truth. So we correct the issue only by standing on our square, whether we're Moors or whether we're not. All right?